Wholesaling real estate is legal in all 50 states. What's illegal? Doing it the wrong way. Hey, I'm Ryan Zomarodi from realestateskills.com, and if you've heard that wholesaling is banned in states like South Carolina, North Carolina, Illinois, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Nebraska, North Dakota, or Ohio, let me set the record straight. Yes, some states have passed new restrictions, but wholesaling is still legal everywhere in the country if you use the right strategy. And that's exactly what you're going to learn in this video. I'm sharing 3 attorney-approved wholesaling strategies that can keep you 100% compliant even in the strictest states. So if you're feeling confused or discouraged about whether wholesaling is still possible, you don't need to worry. This video is going to ease your mind and give you the clarity you've been looking for. There are multiple ways to wholesale, and the few states that have tried to define what wholesaling is, honestly, haven't done a great job. That opens a door for savvy investors who understand how to structure deals the right way and the legal way. And that's what we're doing here today. The truth is, this kind of regulation, combined with all the misinformation and fear-mongering online, pushes out the amateurs, and it creates more opportunity for those of us willing to learn advanced strategies like the ones I'm about to show you. And I'll be honest, you won't find most of this being taught anywhere else. So why should you trust this? Because I've personally read every single wholesaling law in every state. I've published state-by-state legal guides on wholesaling for all 50 states, updated meticulously over the past 6 years on the Real Estate Skills blog. And more importantly, I've spoken directly with attorneys in multiple states where wholesaling is under fire. And each of these 3 strategies has received a legal green light from the experts. Quick disclaimer, I'm not an attorney. I'm just a real estate investor sharing what I've learned. This is not legal advice. You should always consult with your own legal counsel before applying any of these methods in your state. But I can tell you this with confidence. At least one of the 3 strategies will work legally no matter what state you're in. Here's why this matters. Most of the new wholesaling laws focus on 2 specific things. First, limiting your ability to publicly market a purchase contract or a property for sale that you don't legally own. Second, restricting your ability to assign a purchase contract for a fee. Each of these strategies I'm about to show you is specifically designed to operate within those restrictions and still allow you to wholesale legally. Make sure you stick around for the 3rd strategy because it's not only my favorite, it's the easiest to use, it's the strategy I use to build my entire wholesaling career, and it's fully aligned with what we teach here at Real Estate Skills. And to make this even easier for you, we're giving away the exact legal contracts for each strategy, free to download using the link below. Just click the link in the description or go to realestateskills.com/legal to grab your free copies. Let's get into it. The first strategy is powerful, underused, and when done right, completely legal. It's called the land installment contract method, also known in some states as a contract for deed, an agreement for deed, or a bond for title. Now, I'll be honest, this is my least favorite of the 3 strategies we'll cover today. It's effective, but it can get messy if you're not careful. Personally, I'll only use it when I absolutely have to. So how does it work? Instead of assigning a purchase contract or doing a double close, you and the seller enter into a seller-financed agreement, which is the land installment contract. Here's what happens. The seller keeps legal title to the property. You, the buyer, gain equitable interest as soon as the agreement is signed and recorded with the county. Now, why does that matter? Because equitable interest is a legal property right. In most states, just placing a property under contract using a standard purchase agreement gives the buyer equitable interest, allowing them to legally market or assign their position. That's how traditional wholesaling works. But in states like South Carolina, the law has changed. They exclude a standard purchase agreement from being recognized as equitable interest. So simply putting a property under contract isn't enough anymore. That's where this strategy comes in. By using a land installment contract, and more importantly, by recording it at the courthouse, you're granted true equitable interest under state law. And according to attorney Brian DeBruin, owner of the DeBruin Law Firm, under South Carolina law, once someone has equitable interest, they have a right to market the property even if they haven't closed on it yet. That means you're not acting as a broker. You're not assigning the contract. You're selling or marketing your legally recognized ownership interest in the deal. Here's a quick example of how this looks in action. Let's say you agree to buy a property for $100,000 using a land installment contract. You pay the seller $1,000 up front and agree to make monthly payments, say $1,000 per month over time. As soon as the contract is signed and recorded with the county, you now hold equitable interest. From there, you can legally market that interest to buyers, even though you haven't closed in the traditional sense. When you find your buyer, you can close the deal with a double closing, which is buying and selling the property back to back, usually on the same day. Most of the time, this is done using transactional funding, a short-term loan that covers your purchase and gets paid off right away when you sell to your end buyer. It's all legal, it's all clean, as long as you follow the structure. But here's where most investors mess this up. They don't record the contract. Recording the land installment contract with the courthouse is what formalizes your equitable interest and gives you the legal right to market the deal. And here's another pitfall. What happens if you default? Well, since your interest is recorded, the seller can't just walk away. They'd have to legally foreclose on your position, which can take 6 to 12 months and cloud the title. That's why our attorney created a solution around these pitfalls. Our contract includes automatic reversion clauses. It also includes escrow held documents to clear title fast if the buyer defaults. So the seller's protected and your deal stays legally defensible. So to summarize the benefits of the land installment strategy, there's no need to bring cash to closing since you can use a transactional lender to fund the whole thing. There's no license required since you're acting as a principal in the transaction. You gain a recorded interest in the property, which allows you to publicly market the deal. And as a result, it keeps you compliant even in wholesaling restricted states. And just so you're not left guessing, we're giving you the exact land installment contract crafted by our attorney specifically to help wholesalers implement this strategy in light of the new wholesaling laws. It's included in the free contract bundle that you can find using the link below. Strategy number 2 is one of the smartest and most legally defensible ways to wholesale, especially in restrictive states. It's called the LLC assignment method. This is a strategy that real estate attorneys actively use and recommend to wholesalers who want to stay compliant and protected. Here's the core concept. Instead of putting a property under contract in your personal name or even under your main business entity, you form a brand new LLC specific for the deal. This is what we call a single purpose entity or SPE. That LLC goes under contract with the seller. Then you sell ownership of the LLC itself to your end buyer. So what you're actually selling isn't the real estate contract. You're selling a legal entity that holds that contract as an asset. And this is crucial because you're not marketing the property or the contract, you're marketing an ownership stake in a business which is not regulated by real estate licensing laws. So let's break this down step by step. First, you find a property to wholesale. Then you form a new LLC specifically for this deal. You can do this online in most states in less than a day. And you can even do this step after you're under contract on the property and assign it from yourself to this new LLC. Now that LLC is the buyer on the purchase agreement. Once you're under contract, you then market and sell the LLC itself, not the contract. Finally, your end buyer becomes the new owner of the LLC, and now they own the contract and can close on the deal. Here's an example deal flow. Let's say you find a deal for $150,000. You form Main Street Holdings LLC. You submit the offer and the seller signs a purchase agreement with Main Street Holdings LLC as the buyer. Now you have a buyer lined up who's willing to pay $180,000 for that deal. Instead of assigning the contract for $30,000 and risking licensing violations in your state, you sell your membership interest in Main Street Holdings LLC for $30,000. The buyer doesn't need to sign a new purchase contract. They just step into ownership of the company and close the deal through the LLC that's already in place and already the buyer on the contract. Totally legal, no license required, no contract assignments, no advertising violations, and it's nearly bulletproof in court. As one of my attorneys explains, this doesn't constitute the unlicensed practice of real estate because you're not transferring real property, you're transferring control of an entity. So why does this work in restrictive states? Many wholesaling laws, like those in South Carolina, Illinois, and Oklahoma, prohibit the marketing of real estate or contracts by anyone who isn't licensed or doesn't have an equitable interest in the property. But here's the loophole. Those laws don't regulate the sale of businesses or corporate entities. And that's exactly what this strategy leverages. You're not engaging in real estate brokerage activity. You're completing a private business transaction. Now, just like any legal strategy, you've got to do this the right way. First, you want to create a clean, single-purpose LLC for each deal. Don't reuse entities. It muddies the trail and makes it harder to sell an old, used LLC to a new buyer. Then, you want to create a simple operating agreement that clearly outlines how membership interests can be transferred. Then, you'll sign what's called a membership interest transfer agreement when you identify your end buyer and seal the deal. This is the agreement that assigns ownership of the LLC to the end buyer. In some cases, you might need to update the LLC's EIN and bank account after the transfer, so build that into your post-closing process. If this sounds like a lot, don't worry. If you've never formed a business entity, a local real estate attorney can help you with all of this for a nominal cost compared to what you'll be able to make on each deal. If you need a referral, feel free to reach out to us here at Real Estate Skills. Forming a new LLC and assigning the interest can happen very quickly, even while you're under contract on a new deal. So what are the benefits of the LLC assignment strategy? First off, it completely avoids contract assignments and any scrutiny that comes along with the assignments of contract. There's also no double closing fees, there's no brokering or licensing issues. It provides legal protection and anonymity, and it keeps you compliant even in heavily regulated states. And yes, we've got you covered. We're including the exact membership interest transfer agreement created by our attorney in our free downloadable contract bundle. Be sure to run it by your attorney to ensure full compliance for your deals. All right, this third strategy is my favorite. It's simple, it's powerful, and it's the exact strategy I used to build my wholesaling career from the ground up. It's called the joint venture method, and it works even in states with the strictest wholesaling laws. So what is a joint venture? A joint venture is a short-term legal agreement between two or more parties, usually you and a trusted cash buyer. You both agree in advance and in writing to work together on real estate deals, and you define terms such as what your roles are, how profits or fees are handled, and how each deal will be structured. You don't need to create a new company. You don't need a real estate license. You just need a clear signed JV agreement. Here's why this is such a powerful strategy. With a JV agreement in place before you get a deal under contract, you avoid the need to publicly market the contract. You're not posting it online. You're not even emailing 50 different buyers. You already know who your buyer is, and it's documented in writing. As my attorney put it, you already know who's buying it, your JV partner. So there's not a marketing component to this strategy. And that's what makes the strategy 100% legal, even in states like South Carolina, where wholesalers can't market contracts without a license. And here's a real world example. Let's say you've already signed a JV agreement with one of your top cash buyers. It outlines your role in the partnership, which is probably sourcing deals, and it specifies how you'll be compensated. Let's say you find a property for $95,000 and put it under contract in your name. Instead of publicly marketing a contract for assignment, you assign it privately to your predetermined JV partner, just like the agreement says. And here's where things get really exciting. Your JV agreement allows you to get creative with how you're paid. You might earn a flat $10,000 per successful deal paid at closing. Or you could structure it as a percentage of the purchase price, say 3 to 5%. Or you set it up so you get a small acquisition fee up front and a percentage of the net profits once the deal is flipped. Or maybe you negotiate a small equity stake in each project, so now you're earning long-term wealth for every deal you bring in. That's the power of the JV method. You're not limited to basic agreements. You're not even guessing what your fee will be, and you're not violating any laws because you're acting as a principal in each and every deal. And all of it is backed by a legal attorney-reviewed document. Want to take it one step further? Let's say you've built up enough trust and rapport with your buyer that you want to simplify things even more and make this process even more efficient. Here's what you can do. Instead of putting the deal under contract in your name, you make offers directly in your cash buyer's name with their permission, of course. You use their business entity and proof of funds to submit with your offers. That way, if you get your offer accepted and they want the deal, it's already theirs. There's no need to assign anything. There's no need to market anything, no gray area whatsoever. I call this the acquisitions associate method. You're essentially acting as a deal finder or acquisitions representative for your buyer. but without ever triggering licensing laws. I've used this exact method to close dozens of profitable investment deals all over the country with one of my biggest cash buyers. It's also allowed me to partner on six-figure profit deals and wholesale legally with confidence all over the country. Yes, this approach limits you to working with one buyer at a time. And yes, it requires real relationships and pre-aligned expectations. But if you're someone who's feeling stuck, if you're afraid of violating the law, and if you don't want to guess what's legal and what's not, this is the cleanest, safest, and most effective way to wholesale. It's how I got started, and it's how many of our students close their first 5 or 10 deals. And it works without breaking any rules. So to summarize the benefits of the joint venture method, there's no public marketing required. There's no license needed. This is 100% relationship based. There's strong legal protection in even the most restrictive states. There's flexible and creative compensation structures, including earning wholesale fees, profit sharing, or earning equity in your deals. Isn't that what everyone wants? Equity? And of course, we're giving you the exact JV agreement template created by one of our attorneys, free to download in the contract bundle below. All right, well, let's bring it all together. We just covered 3 attorney-approved strategies for wholesaling real estate legally in any state, even in places where new laws are cracking down. Let's recap. First off, there's the land installment contract method. You create and record an equitable interest so you can legally market the deal even before closing. The second strategy is the LLC assignment method. You go under contract in a deal-specific LLC, then sell the LLC itself to your buyer. It's a business transaction, not a real estate one. The third and final method is the joint venture method. You pre-structure your partnerships with real cash buyers, then assign deals directly to them without any public marketing. And if you want to go one step further, use the acquisitions associate method to make offers directly in your buyer's name. No assignment, no advertising, maximum legal safety. Each of these strategies gives you a clear path forward no matter where you live and no matter what laws are in place. I've personally consulted with attorneys in multiple states. We've built out the exact contracts, and I'm giving them to you 100% free. Just click the link below to download the full contract bundle, complete with the land installment agreement, the membership interest transfer agreement for LLC assignments, and the joint venture agreement. Just go to realestateskills.com/legal to download your free copy today, or simply click the link in the description. If you want help implementing these strategies, or if you're serious about wholesaling the right way, book a free call with my team. We'll show you how our Ultimate Investor program can help you close deals consistently, legally, ethically, and with confidence. Just go to realestateskills.com/programs to learn more, or just click the link in the description. Let me know in the comments what state you're investing in. I'd love to hear where you're tuning in from. And if this video helped you out, give it a like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss more real estate investing content just like this. This is Ryan Zomarodi, co-founder of realestateskills.com. Thanks for watching. Take what you've learned, stay compliant, and keep moving forward with confidence in your real estate business. I'll see you in the next one.